Welcome to Full Frontal. I'm Samantha B. The end of summer is bittersweet. It means saying goodbye to sunny beach days, long summer nights, and steamy nooners with the half-man, half-sea creature who almost took my life, but instead stole my heart. But for Texas and the Supreme Court, the end of this summer has meant saying goodbye to people's reproductive rights.
Breaking overnight, the Supreme Court formally refused to block Texas's new abortion ban. The most restrictive abortion law in this country effectively makes abortion illegal in the country's second most populous state. The decision was 5-4, with Chief Justice John Roberts actually joining the three liberal justices in dissent.
And the conservative justices were joined, as always, by these nuts. The Texas law circumvents Roe v. Wade, and as Justice Sonia Sotomayor noted in her dissent, is flagrantly unconstitutional.
She said the court's order is stunning, presented with an application to enjoin a flagrantly unconstitutional law engineered to prohibit women from exercising their constitutional rights and evade judicial scrutiny. A majority of justices have opted to bury their heads in the sand.
Damn, I haven't heard a Supreme Court justice speak that passionately about a case since Sandra Day O'Connor's decision on Kramer versus Kramer. She chose Seinfeld Kramer. She said the laughter he brings is almost unconstitutional. While the Supreme Court's anti-pussy posse claimed they were declining to block the Texas law on procedural grounds, this was just the latest partisan abuse of the court's shadow docket.
The court's late-night decision has highlighted the issue of the shadow docket, where the court makes emergency decisions. As the New York Times points out, the court spent less than 3 days dealing with the Texas case. There were no oral arguments before the justices. The majority opinion was unsigned and 1 paragraph long. 1 paragraph and unsigned? You fucking cowards. If you're taking away our reproductive rights, at least own that you're gutless monsters. Texas's Senate Bill 8, which contains no exceptions for rape or incest, effectively bans abortion after just 6 weeks of pregnancy. At 6 weeks, many people aren't even aware that they're pregnant because doctors count pregnancy from the first day of your last menstrual period. Technically, you're 6 weeks pregnant just 2 weeks after you miss a period, which is nightmare because periods can be irregular for all kinds of reasons. I skipped a period when I started this job and at the 2018 People's Choice Awards when Willem Dafoe looked at me too hard. That was before he became Willem Defriend. But what really makes this law uniquely terrible is that it deputizes private citizens to act like bounty hunters.
It bars state officials from enforcing the law, but instead allows private citizens to sue doctors, clinic staff, and those helping women get abortions. Anti-abortion advocates say even a person driving someone to a clinic should be held responsible.
If he knows and he's taking her there fully aware, that this is illegal to do, then yeah, I think he should be held accountable. This is very much like an accomplice in other types of crimes.
According to the law, if you sue someone and actually win your frivolous misogyny lawsuit, you could get at least 10 grand. Although people are going to be pissed when that money only comes in Jesus bucks. You can only use them at Hobby Lobby, and even then, they're only good for pipe cleaners and long sticks. Not even good wood, balsa wood. But Texas lawmakers aren't just doing this shit for funsies. They're strategically trying to prevent the law from being challenged.
This is Texas's attempt to make it impossible to sue anyone to challenge the constitutionality of this suit. The state's trying to shield itself using a doctrine called sovereign immunity that allows people to sue states only if they are targeting the official who enforces a law they think is unconstitutional. But obviously, Texas is saying there is no such official to sue, so there's no way to bring this constitutional challenge to court.
God, can you imagine if any of these useless twats put as much creativity and time towards helping the millions of American children who have no secure homes or food? I might not have anything to talk about. Instead of doing this show, I'd finally have that HGTV show that I always dreamed about, Like It or Lump It. Like, I'd still piss people off, but only because I'd ask them if they wanted to like it or lump it, and they wouldn't understand what lump it means. And I would not explain it to them. I will never explain it. At the end of the day, we know exactly who will be hurt most by Texas's law.
It's not like, Allison, when, that in Texas, abortions are suddenly going to stop. What's going to happen is they're going to continue, but they're going to be unsafe. And of course, particularly women of color and poor women will be most affected.
This is always the way, and it's by design. And avalanche of prior abortion restrictions and the Hyde Amendment, which bars federal funding like Medicaid from covering abortions, have already made it extremely difficult for low-income people and people of color to obtain safe abortions. But wealthy people will still be able to travel for health care, and Republican men will always find a way to make sure the women they cheat on their wives with get their abortions. You know, I would complain about that hypocrisy if I weren't glad as hell those kids didn't happen. I mean, look at this guy and tell me we need more of him. You can't. Meanwhile, much like the latest wave of COVID, Texas's anti-choice approach is spreading to other red states. At least 7 other Republican-controlled states look to mimic the Texas law. In Florida, Governor DeSantis reiterated that he's pro-saving children's lives, except, of course, until they enroll in school. And in South Dakota, Governor Kristi Noem revealed her own up plans.
Following the Supreme Court's decision to leave the pro-life Texas law in place, I've directed the unborn child advocate in my office to immediately review the new Texas law and current South Dakota laws to make sure we have the strongest pro-life laws on the books in South Dakota.
South Dakota has an unborn child advocate. And folks, this is him. It's weird that he's pro-life because with a face like that, I would want to be dead. You can't be pro-birth if you look like you broke out of a cloning pod before you finished. As soul-crushing as it is to see how worthless our Supreme Court has become, it's hard not to want to walk right into our rapidly rising oceans and never return. But on the ground, organizations like the Lilith Fund, Texas Equal Access Fund, and AFIA Center are fighting back. Groups like these provide financial support to help people obtain abortions, which is vital because abortion is health care. And a majority of Americans support abortion rights. Restrictive laws, like the one in Texas, won't actually lower abortion rates. What they will do is damage the health and safety of pregnant people. We need to fight this oppressive law and all the others that come after it because no person should be forced to give birth or look into this man's face. I just missed my period again. A new bill called SB 8 has effectively outlawed most abortions in Texas. Ugh! After pulling out my hair and biting my nails bloody, I set out in search of hope and found it in the most unlikely place.
I'm going to Jersey Shore, bitch!
That's right, New Jersey, the state that brought us all this.
Hello! Are you stupid?
Apologize! You bite my nuts!
Is somehow paving the way for reproductive rights.
This is real. This is an urgent, present threat that we have to act on.
This is Phil Murphy. He's the governor of New Jersey and hopefully the person who can finally explain to me what gabagool is.
Gabagool? Over here.
Also, he's championing a bill called the Reproductive Freedom Act.
Reproductive freedom in New Jersey is based on case law, which is in turn based on Roe v. Wade. If Roe v. Wade is impaired, all that case law comes down like a house of cards. So the Reproductive Freedom Act is a law which would forever and always protect reproductive freedom in New Jersey.
This is a big deal.
Yes, and it has a whole range of elements to it. No one can discriminate against you. Insurance companies have to cover it. Regardless of your immigration status, you are eligible. There's a whole series of pieces of this, but the biggest piece, it's the law.
Well, this is very disappointing because I have a whole list of New Jersey jokes right now, and I can't tell them.
I'm sorry.
Because you are attempting to transform New Jersey into a safe haven for reproductive health care.
We are doing that, but you also retain your First Amendment rights if you insist on the jokes.
Well, I might do a few jokes. You know what the best part of New Jersey is? The sign 5 yards away that says now entering New York. Jersey, come for the casinos, stay because your car is gone. I do salute you, New Jersey. You're the one state that won't let me pump my gas, but will tell me you pumped my mom. But in all seriousness, this bill ensures that Roe v. Wade is the law in New Jersey, which is pretty great. Do you have your best people on the case? Like, where is Jersey Mike in all of this? Is he helping?
I hope he is. But we have our best people on it for sure. Activists, Planned Parenthood has been extraordinary.
Not all just bureaucrats in big fancy offices, but people out there on the ground.
You bet, most importantly, people on the ground.
If there's two things I know, it's that you shouldn't sit on an Atlantic City toilet, and the best legislation comes from the people on the ground. So I sat down with one of those women, Caitlin Wojtowicz of Planned Parenthood, at New Jersey's official state restaurant, A Diner. Whose idea was this? Was this your idea?
Oh, I wish I could say that, but it's been a true team effort with the Thrive New Jersey Coalition, Senator Weinberg and Assemblywoman Huddle, as well as Governor Murphy's office.
Okay, so this is like a big statewide effort
Absolutely.
to get the RFA passed.
We introduced this bill in October of 2020, so it's not just a response to what's going on in Texas. The Reproductive Freedom Act is about protecting and, more importantly, expanding access, because we know that Roe v. Wade is the floor and not the ceiling.
Roe wasn't just the floor, it was the floor covered in shag carpeting. It seemed like all we'd ever want in the 70s, but now it's clear we need more. Not only will this bill make Roe v. Wade state law, but anyone who wants an abortion will have access to one, which Roe never guaranteed. I think it's happening. I think I love New Jersey. What happens if the Reproductive Freedom Act doesn't get passed?
If the Reproductive Freedom Act is not passed, we know that the same people now who are struggling to access reproductive health care and abortion, people with low incomes, people of color, undocumented immigrants, those are all the folks who will be left behind.
So that is a long list of people. I think it would be easier if I just wrote down everyone except for the family that owns Walmart.
Exactly.
They're gonna be fine. Unlike Walmart, this bill is good for society. So what's the holdup? Is it stuck behind Chris Christie trying to get on the GW Bridge? Yes, my jokes are 10 years old. But where's the current governor, AKA our favorite sitcom dad, on all of this? Is there anyone that you need Bruce Springsteen to talk to hasten this along?
I don't know about Bruce, but I do think, sadly, because of this Texas decision, that it's becoming more real. I would hope the legislature comes back into session in November, and I fully expect this in place before the end of this year.
Don't break my heart, New Jersey.
I won't.
It's not very often in reproductive health care that it's a good news story.
It is a good news story, but look at the rest of the country where it's going the wrong direction. I hope maybe we could be the first state out of the gates that is a model perhaps for others to follow.
New Jersey could be a model for other states.
You bet.
I just never thought I would say those words out loud. So other states, model yourself after Jersey. Make hoagies your state dish. Make sure your state smells like eggs the moment you cross the border, and protect reproductive rights. Because as we've seen in Texas, it's now more urgent than ever to codify Roe into your state's law, Jersey style.
Yeah, buddy.
It feels like this happens every year. Halloween is barely over. It's not even Thanksgiving yet, and already everyone's talking about the attack on abortion rights season. Oh, for gosh sakes, Brett Kavanaugh already has his decorations up. And that's because this year, the Supreme Court is going all out.
The Supreme Court will take up two major and possibly consequential abortion cases this term.
It's likely to be the most important term for abortion rights in at least 3 decades.
If Roe is reversed, probably almost half the states in the United States would strictly limit abortion and perhaps ban it altogether.
Oh, come on. If the Supreme Court reversed jumping off a bridge, would almost half the states do that too? Yeah, probably. At least South Dakota. On Monday, the court heard arguments in 2 fast-track cases against Texas abortion law SB 8. The law just went into effect in September, and to refresh your memory, it blows.
So that law, just to remind you, effectively bans abortions after 6 weeks. There is no exception for rape or incest. And it also empowers private citizens to sue anyone who helps facilitate an abortion.
Under the law, you can sue the doctor, the medical staff at the clinic, and anyone who drives a woman to their appointment.
You can also sue the horse you rode to the clinic. That's the real reason they killed Seabiscuit. But just like how arguments with your partner over loading the dishwasher are never really about the dishwasher, the arguments heard on SB 8 on Monday weren't really about abortion.
So the first lawsuit that we saw play out was brought by this group of abortion providers in the state of Texas. The key question there is whether or not the state of Texas can pass a law that is insulated from federal court review that seemingly denies a constitutionally established right. The second case was brought by the Justice Department. And again, the key question there is whether the United States can even sue in federal court Texas and state officials. We're going to hear the justices try to wrestle with these procedural issues.
Man, I'd like to see the justices wrestle with the issues. I would pay so much money to watch Justice Sotomayor hit Neil Gorsuch with a pile driver. While we don't yet have an official ruling, it appeared on Monday that the court might be leaning toward allowing lower courts to block the Texas law, and some of the leaners might surprise you.
Amy Coney Barrett's soundbite there is the fact that she's questioning the structure of this Texas law, the way that Texas has essentially tried to evade federal judicial review here. Justice Brett Kavanaugh also asked some questions, basically saying if Texas can pass this law stopping abortions, what's to stop other states from passing laws that might restrict other constitutional rights, perhaps gun rights?
So I guess he's protecting abortion rights by protecting gun rights? Even if SCOTUS allows either challenge to move forward, the fight is far from over. On December 1st, the court will hear arguments to a Mississippi abortion ban, and the outcome could be the most consequential abortion rights ruling in decades.
The Supreme Court case out of Mississippi scheduled for this fall could have a far more sweeping impact. Abortion opponents are calling it the best chance in 50 years of overturning Roe versus Wade. Abortion rights advocates warn it could clear the way for every state to write their own abortion bans.
It's my goal to ultimately overturn Roe v. Wade because I think the court got it wrong then.
And Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves has the authority here because his face always looks like it just squeezed out of a birthing canal. For nearly 50 years, Roe v. Wade has theoretically allowed abortion before about the 24th week of pregnancy. But in 2018, Mississippi's Republican-dominated legislature outlawed abortions at 15 weeks, which was, at the time, the earliest in the nation. Amazingly, the law never went into effect because it was immediately struck down by a federal judge. Thank God. Who knew 2018 was going to be the good year? I mean, sure, bad things happen, but all I remember now is gritty and a star is born. So quantum leap me back to that shit. Mississippi's law is being challenged by the Jackson Women's Health Organization, which is now the only abortion clinic in the state. It can't be overstated how significant this case is in the battle to protect abortion rights, particularly with the Supreme Court so conservative they make their statue of Lady Justice stand behind a statue of Mr. Justice. If the Supreme Court overturns Roe, we will live in a country where every state creates its own rules on abortion. 22 states, mostly in the South and Midwest, are poised to ban abortion in almost all cases. Meanwhile, some states, like Oregon and Vermont, have codified reliable and equitable abortion access. That means that wealthy women who live in states where abortion is outlawed will still be able to afford traveling elsewhere, but others won't be so fortunate.
A single mother who is working at a job at $8 an hour, who doesn't have PTO or days to take off of work, who doesn't have an infrastructure or support system already, the feat of getting out of state is impossible for her. It will affect women of color and low-income women the most.
3/4 of people seeking abortions are low income, many of whom are people of color, and they will face barriers that will make it almost impossible to get to another state. Think of it as a modern-day Oregon Trail where all the pioneers are pregnant, and instead of dysentery, you die of Amy Coney Barrett. If Roe is overturned, 41% of women of childbearing age would see their nearest abortion clinic close, and women seeking abortions would have to travel an average of 279 miles for access. The only reason a woman should ever have to travel 279 miles is to see 80s Canadian rock gods Loverboy. They were working for the weekend, and what I did with them was kind of a job as well. Since the Roe decision, states have enacted hundreds of restrictions to abortion access. In much of the country, for low-income people and people of color, the crisis of a post-Roe world is already here. Thankfully, people are fighting back. Organizers in conservative states have built shadow infrastructures to help people overcome legal, financial, and geographic barriers to access. Incidentally, Shadow Infrastructures is also the name of HBO's next prestige drama starring Nicole Kidman. She bravely plays a brunette, something I would never do. There's not enough money on this great green earth. Look, the decisions the Supreme Court is making will impact lives for generations. We can't give up hope, and we cannot stop fighting, because abortion is healthcare. Allow me to cordially invite Texas Republicans and the conservative members of the Supreme Court to sincerely off. Abortion is healthcare, and we will fight this.
Locked doors, a bunch of clocks, and a wall of fame celebrating those who are important to the reproductive justice movement. Loretta Ross, the Yellowhammer Fund, and of course, Roe. Welcome to Samantha Bee's Reproductive Justice Escape Room.
In my career, I've done so many pieces about reproductive justice. justice, about abortion, about choice. I don't have any more ways to talk about it.
And because nothing is stronger than the power of sisterhood, let us introduce the game's first and only ever co-contestant.
Hi, I'm Busy Phillips. 2 years ago, I had the honor and privilege of testifying before Congress about my abortion, and today I'm doing an escape room.
Sam and Busy will have 30 minutes to solve a series of puzzles. Once they do that, they'll have legalized abortion. Wait, what? Sorry. Once they do that, they'll be allowed to leave this room.
Okay, we are gonna go into the escape room.
I'm very nervous.
I'm so scared.
We're both really scared. We're genuinely scared.
Just open the door. Bye. Oh my God. Oh.
Are we locked in?
Yeah, okay.
First up, Republicans love to clock block reproductive rights in America, and time is ticking to save them. Our contestants need to identify how many of the clocks in this room have the same amount of digits as the number of seasons in a year that abortion should be legal. Easy, right?
I don't even understand how an escape room works.
There are clocks over here.
There's clocks.
Oh, the clocks that have 4 numbers on them. Yes, I did it! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know the first one is 6, right? 6. Okay. Doesn't work. Oh, it works. It works, guys. We did it.
Looks like Dave got it.
Oh, good. We got
It's a tool.
a tool.
Fun fact, like the gears in this table, public support for abortion has shifted. Now 59% of Americans support it in all or most cases.
Oh, wait, look. There's a key.
I did it. God, let me out of this room. Oh, it unlocked. Here. What?
This is it.
This is it. Turn the key and scan your finger to start the main power console. It sounds complicated.
But it's actually much easier than getting an abortion in most U.S. states.
That is true.
Not fun fact. Approximately 6 in 10 women of reproductive age live in states that are hostile to abortion rights.
And scan your finger.
Oh!
Okay. Succeed. Well,
okay.
Okay.
Well, all right.
And now, on to the last step.
This is the last step.
Oh! Here we go.
Come on. Busy, come on. I should be able to figure this out.
Got this.
Oh my God, there's another fucking room.
Let's check in and see how the contestants are holding up.
You know what? Every once in a while, it's good to figure out what your weaknesses are. My weakness is escape rooms.
I wouldn't say that I carried the team, but you could probably say that in the edit and it wouldn't be wrong necessarily.
That first room took forever. Let's see how they're doing at the Wall of Herstory.
A brief herstory. Okay, let's see.
First, there was nothing. Then there were a bunch of dude presidents, Roe, and in 1976, Congress passed the Hyde Amendment, which banned federal funding for most abortion care.
Somewhere around there, Jerry Falwell decided that abortion would be a really good thing to focus his constituents and followers on in order to get them to vote the way he wanted, which was essentially, for racists.
Classic Falwell.
The following 8 states have pre-Roe abortion bans in their laws, which would be immediately enforceable if Roe was overturned.
Now, Sam and Busy need to locate those 8 states on the map behind them.
First of all, here's my home state where I had my abortion, Arizona.
The people who live in these states will likely lose their access to abortion if SCOTUS overturns Roe.
West Virginia, right here. Okay. That's definitely in there. We got that one right.
Very hard.
I. Okay, so guys, do you know how good it would feel to codify Roe?
Orgasmic.
But like most men, we're not gonna let you finish. Rude. So just put the first 5 letters of this word in the cryptex.
Okay.
That's over here.
This is just like the Da Vinci Code.
This is G. Sam wasn't super helpful.
I didn't even know these things existed. How would I have known that? What's inside of it? Oh shit. Oh, it's a key. I didn't know that.
Maybe this one goes here.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, wait, look, there's a red dot here and a red dot there. Like that.
And then the mirror became transparent. I didn't even see that.
Holy shit, this isn't over yet. Now they have to count the Plan B, condoms, blazers, and abstinence pamphlets in the room.
It's the only abstinence thing that actually works. It's a pamphlet with my face on it.
The total number of each item makes up the code that gets them out of the room. Thank God.
So let's find the Plan Bs.
All the Plan B. I know that an escape room is silly. Ugh. But the things that are at stake right now are not silly at all. Now we shall count condoms.
If Roe gets overturned, all of the work that people have done over the last many, many decades will be overturned. But also just how we choose to live our lives and how we choose to take care of ourselves and our families. That's like truly what's at stake. 5, 6, 8, 4.
What's in here?
Did we get out? I think we got out.
We're out.
Thank you. We're out. Oh my God! Oh my God! That was too scary. That was too scary. Don't do it when I come out.
Congratulations! You've escaped the escape womb. But unfortunately, you're still stuck in America.